Hello everybody, my name is Scooty Man Gaming, and today we are going to be playing, or not playing, but we're going to be reading, again with my friend Aiden, Squidward's Suicide, a creepypasta about Squidward killing himself, because it's called Squidward Suicide. Anyway, let me hand it off to my friend Aiden. He's going to say how nifty it is.
Oh, yes. Actually, as much as I don't read very many of these, this is quite honestly my favorite one. I mean, I like a lot of gaming ones, because that's all I do with my spare time. I have no life, but this one kind of takes the cake a bit. And it's short, and I like short ones that make sense, and this is good. Which is perfect, 'cause I love the ending. But anyway, let's get right into it. Just want to start off by saying, if you want an answer at the end, prepare to be disappointed. There just isn't one. I was an intern in Nickelodeon Studios for a year in 2005 for my degree in animation. Wasn't paid, of course. Most internships aren't. But it did have some perks beyond education. To adults, might not seem like a big one. Most kids at the time would go crazy over it. Now, since I work directly with editors and animators, I got to view the new episodes days before they aired. I'll get right to it without giving too many unnecessary details. They had very recently made the SpongeBob movie, and the entire staff was somewhat sapped of creativity, so it took them longer to start up the season. But the delay lasted longer for more upsetting reasons. There was a problem with Series 4 premiere that set everyone and everything back for several months. Me and two other interns were in the editing room, along with the lead animators and sound editors for the final cut. We received a copy that was supposed to be Fear of a Krabby Patty, and gathered around the screen to watch. Now, given that it isn't final, animators often put a mock title card, sort of an inside joke, with phony, oftentimes allude titles such as How Sex Doesn't Work instead of Rockabye Bivalve, when SpongeBob and Patrick adopt a sea scallop. Nothing particularly funny, but work-related chuckles. So when we saw the title card, Squidward's Suicide, we didn't think it more than a more joke. One of the interns did a small throat laugh at it. Happy-go-lucky music played as normal. Story began with Squidward practicing his clarinet, hitting a few sour notes like normal. We hear SpongeBob laughing outside, and Squidward stops, yelling at him to keep it down as he has a concert that night and needs to practice. SpongeBob says okay and goes to see Sandy with Patrick. The bubble splash screen comes up, and we see the ending of Squidward's concert. This is when things began to seem off. While playing, a few frames repeat themselves, but the sound doesn't. At this point, sound is synced up with animation, so yes, that's not common, but when he stops playing, the sound finishes as if the skip never happened. There is slight murmuring in the crowd before beginning to boo him. Not normal cartoon booing that is common in the show, but you could very clearly hear malice in it. Squidward's in full frame and looks visibly afraid. The shot goes to the crowd with SpongeBob in center frame, and he too is booing, very much unlike him. That isn't the oddest thing, though. What is odd is everyone has hyper-realistic eyes, very detailed. Clearly not shot of real people's eyes, but something a bit more real than CGI. Pupils were red. Some of us looked at each other, obviously confused. But since we weren't the writers, we didn't question it to appeal to children. The shot goes to Squidward sitting on the edge of his bed, very forlorn. The view out of his porthole window is out of the night sky, so it isn't very long after the concert. The unsettling part is at this point there's no sound. No sound at all. Not even the feedback from the speakers in the room. It's as if the speakers were turned off, though their status showed them working perfectly. He just sat there, blinking. Silence for about 30 seconds. He started to sob, softly. He put his hands, or tentacles, if you will, over his eyes and cried quietly for a full minute, maybe more. All the while a sound in the background, very slowly growing, from nothing to barely audible. Sounded like a slight breeze, maybe through a forest. The screen slowly begins to zoom on his face. By slow, I mean it's only noticeable if you look at 10 shots 10 seconds apart side by side. The sobbing gets louder, more full of hurt and anger. The screen then twitches a bit, as if it twists it on itself, for a split second, then back to normal. The wind through the trees sound gets slowly louder, more severe, as if a storm is brewing somewhere. Artist sound, Squidward sobbing suddenly, as if the sound wasn't coming from the speakers, but as if the sound were holes. The sound was coming through from the other side. As good a sound as the studio likes to have. Push the button to get accurate sound back quality. Below the sound of the wind and sobbing, very faint, something sounded like laughing. Came from the interval. Never lasted more than a second. Cut off time pinning it. I watched this show twice, so pardon me if I sound too specific. I've had time to think about it. After 30 seconds of this, the screen twitched violently.
Dude,
Something flashed over the screen, as if a
uh,
single frame was replaced. Yeah?
your mic is going in and out. It's like going robotically, then stopping, and then starting again.
Yeah, so was yours. I thought that was just you. Someone's internet's bad.
Hmm.
And if it's you, that means that's going to be in the recording.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
my connection says perfect.
mine's good too.
Yeah.
So
My microphone says it's working real fine. Wow.
hold on a second. Let me just unplug my headphones. Okay, maybe that'll fix it a little bit better. Okay, keep going.
Alright. The lead animation editor paused and rewound frame by frame. What we saw was horrible. It was a still photo of a dead child. He couldn't have been more than 6. Face was mangled and bloodied. One eye dangling over his upturned face. Popped. He was naked down to his underwear, his stomach crudely cut open and his entrails laying beside him. He was laying on some pavement that was probably a road. The most upsetting part was that there was a shadow of the photographer. There was no crime tape, no evidence tags or markers, and the angle was completely off for a shot designed to be evidence. It would seem the photographer was the person responsible for the child's death. We were, of course, mortified but pressed on, hoping that it was just a sick joke. The screen flipped back to Squidward still sobbing, louder than before, and half body in frame. There was now what appeared to be blood running down his face from his eyes. The blood was also done in hyper-realistic style, looking as if you touched it you'd get blood on your fingers. The wind sounded now as if it were that of a gale blowing through the forest. There were even snapping sounds, branches, the laughing, a deep baritone lasting at longer intervals and coming more frequently. After about 20 seconds, the screen again twisted and showed a single frame photo. The editor was reluctant to go back. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The editor was reluctant to go back. We all were, but he knew he had to. This time, the photo was that of what appeared to be a little girl, no older than the first child. She was lying on her stomach, her breast in a pool of blood next to her. Her left eye, too, was popped out, okay, naked except for underpants. Her entrails were piled on top of her and above a crude cut along her back. Again, the body was on the street and the photographer's shadow was visible, very similar in size and shape to the first. I had to choke back vomit, and one intern, the only female in the room, ran out. The show resumed. After 5 seconds after this photo played, Squidward went silent, as did all sound. Like it was when this scene started, he put his tentacles down, and his eyes were now done in a hyper-realism, like the others were in the beginning of the episode. They were bleeding, bloodshot, and pulsating. He just stared at the screen as if watching the viewer. After about 10 seconds, he started sobbing, this time not covering his eyes. The sound was piercing and long. The most fear-inducing of all his sobbing was mixed with screams. Tears and blood were dripping down his face at a heavy rate. The wind sound came back too, and so did the deep voice laughing. And this time, the still photo lasted for a good 5 frames. The animator was able to stop it on the 4th and backed up. This time, the photo was a boy, about the same age, but this time the scene was different. The entrails were being just pulled out of the stomach, wound by a large hand. The right eye popped and dangling, blood trickled down it. The animator proceeded. It was hard to believe, but then the next one was different. We couldn't tell what. He went on to the next, same thing. He went back to the first and played them quicker, and I lost it. I vomited on the floor. The animating and sound editors gasping at the scene. The 5 frames were not as if they were 5 different photos. They were played out as if they were frames from a video. So the hands slowly lift up the guts. We saw the kid's eye focus on it. We even saw 2 frames of the kid beginning to blink. The lead sound editor told us to stop. He had to call in the creator to see this. Mr. Hillenberg arrived with about 7 or 15 minutes. He was confused to why he was called down here, so the editor just continued the episode. Once a few frames were shown, all screaming, and the sound stopped again. Squidward was just staring at the viewer, full frame of face, for about 3 seconds. The shot quickly panned out, and that deep voice said, "Just do it!" And we see in Squidward's hands the shotgun. He immediately put the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. Realistic blood and brain matter splatters on the wall behind him and his bed, and he flies backwards at force. The last 5 seconds of this episode show his body on the bed on his side, one eye dangling on what's left of his head above the floor, staring blankly at it. Then the episode ends. Mr. Hellenberg is obviously angered by this. He demanded to know what the heck was going on. Most people left the room at this point, so it was just a handful of us to watch it again. Viewing the episode twice only served it to imprint the entirety of it on my mind and caused me horrible nightmares. I'm sorry I stayed. The only theory I could think about was the file was edited by someone in the chain from the drawing studio to here. CTO was called in to analyze when it had happened. The analysis of the file showed that it was edited over by newer material. However, the timestamp of it was a mere 24 seconds before we began viewing it. All equipment involved was examined by foreign software and hardware as well as glitches, as if the timestamp may have glitched and showed the wrong time, but everything checked out fine. We don't know what happened to this day. Nobody does. There was an investigation due to the nature of the photos, but nothing came of it. No child was identified, and no clues were gathered from the data involved, nor physical clues in the photos. I never believed in explaining phenomena before, but now that I have something happen and I can't prove anything about it beyond anecdotal evidence, I think twice about things. And that was Squidward Suicide.
Not bad. Exactly why it's one of my favorites ever made. Like, legit. Go ahead.
I mean, they could have done better with the part about the hyper-realistic stuff. Kind of like, if you guys ever watched Some Ordinary Gamers, Mudahar, kind of goes into explanation about this, but it doesn't, really help the creepypasta in any description. It does rather, but not, it just makes it kind of annoying since it's such a cliche. Because there's so many creepypastas I know that have to mention with hyper-realistic blood and guts and all that stuff.
Well, I think the gore factor could be a bit cliche, but I think it's good that they added so much of it because it kind of puts it out of the cliche. It kind of overdoes it, and that's kind of what I like. Because it's not just like he had his organs ripped out. It's like his whole brain matter and everything was detailed about how his head was completely ripped apart, too. That, what else should I say? I just like the way it was written. It's not very long, but it just seems to... There's obviously no answer to it, but it just seems... It makes sense to me for some reason. I don't know why. I kind of like how it's like... Because I've always wanted to see like a horror movie version of these cartoons just made to what they... I don't know. This appealed to me more than like anything I've really read. And I really love reading things in a creepy voice like this. It's my favorite pastime. Because, I normally talk like this. But don't you like it when I talk about this? People having their organs ripped out slowly, one by one, eaten by everyone. Cannibal Holocaust in the forest.
And the freaking teddy bear on the side.
Ripping their testes off one by one.
and the freaking teddy bear on the side just makes it all fit together. Your voice, the teddy bear, and what you're talking about.
What teddy bear on the side? Oh, on mine, I have the whole tobacco. If cigarettes looked as dangerous as they are, you'd run like hell, me. I've got the giant alien cigarette coming out of the thing and trying to kill people. That's what I have on my side, bro.
On my side, I have the Krampus, own it on DVD and stuff.
Mhm.
And there's a picture of a teddy bear, just like with this huge carnivorous teeth.
Dude, I wanted to see the Krampus movie. Krampus looks so cool.
I know, I wanted to see it too. But anyway, this
Stop
is
doing that with your water bomb. Shove it somewhere in a second.
That was Squidward Suicide, and my friend Aiden has some things to say before we stop recording.
If you want to hear my voice some more in about a month, maybe a month more or less, I don't know. My computer will be fixed at some point. You'll be able to hear more of me talking like this. Don't you worry about it, baby. Oh, yeah.
What the heck,
My
dude?
voice is like butter on toast.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, you'll hear a little more of me. I normally do gaming and cursing at people and screaming and saltiness, but you know, I do. If I knew how to edit, I would do trading. But if I do find out, I don't mind doing a trading series. Just have you know, it takes me forever to sell things. On my main account, it's been almost a year, and I don't even have 30 keys yet. Wow.
Wow, that's nifty. If.
Today's thing is a bunch of bullshit. Shahid. All right. Anyway, you can probably end the video now.
Okay, before we go, I just need to say something, peoples. Okay, so basically, I want you guys to leave suggestions and other things, like, comment, subscribe, and do whatever. Go visit his channel, Aiden SR1, his best channel in the world except for mine, and peace.